I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
And we're that book talk couple.
And today we're going to be reviewing the Gilded Blood series by Rachel Rener.
Okay, so you originally started it. You recommended it to me because you thought it'd be something that I liked. And this is the book that got me back into audiobooks because it's been a while since I've done audiobooks.
Yeah, so to start and to kind of preface this, we did both listen to the entire series on audiobook. Actually, Rachel Rener is an independent published author. I met her through a Facebook group, and her book came highly recommended. Actually, her fourth book, which is the one we both just finished, Synched, has won multiple awards and even got up on the NASDAQ board in New York City as one of the top female fantasy works of the year. So huge shout outs and kudos to Rachel Rener. And we're just excited to dive in. So why don't you take us away?
Well, first of all, I think it works for me. It works best if you listen to all of them back to back to back. Because they're kind of short. The first book is only 346 pages. So it was about I don't know, maybe an 8-hour audio. And for me, the world building and stuff makes a lot more sense and has a better flow if you just listen to all of them back to back. Because at least one of the books literally ends with one line, and then the next book picks up with the exact same line. So it's like no time has passed between the end of one book and the beginning of the next book. So I think they work out the best if you listen to them like in sequence.
Yeah. And so the cool thing about this series is Rachel wrote this over the span, or released this over the span of like 1 year. So for the people who like to get books quickly, who don't like to wait a long time.
I do not like starting book series without it being completed.
Rachel has done an excellent job of just putting all of this out. But this is going to be a holistic review, and just so you know, Rachel did launch an amazing Kickstarter. It funded for the omnibus. We will be reviewing that when it comes in. Yes. It's a gorgeous book, and we're excited to talk about that. We're actually hopefully going to have Rachel on to, as we discuss that, some of her favorite parts to us, and just kind of dive in. So why don't you take it away from that point?
The main character, her name is Talia, and she's just your regular old girl. They live in Miami, yeah. They live in Miami. She works at a tattoo shop, and it is owned by this gorgeous man called Zane. And he's just gorgeous. Obviously the typical tall, dark, and handsome, mysterious. He's her boss, and of course she has a crush on him. She's worked for him for like 2 years at the point of the first book. And so, yeah, she's just a really talented tattoo artist. And then her boss goes missing. Don't know where he is.
Well, and this is a portal fantasy.
Yeah. Well, this story has harpies, it has banshees, vampires, fairies. Why don't you go grab the big? Yeah. But so it has lots of different, I don't know, what do you call them?
Fae creatures.
Fae creatures, yeah. It's a fae realm, and it's just, it's a pretty cool world that she built. And the evil guy, what do you call him? Saul. He is what do they call him? Succubus, which are basically, what are they? Sex vampires.
Sex vampires.
This is my first story with an incubus or anything like that, so that was new for me.
To be fair to Heather, and it sounds like I'm not saying that like I know more about this world than she does, but I'm very much into like the heavier themes of fantasy. So I think as we review, I'm going to be kind of like your nerd when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
I just enjoy reading. He delves deep into it and does like research on top of reading the book, and I just enjoy the book.
And a cool thing to point out as we keep going in about Rachel Rener herself, and the character Talia and her mother, they are of Jewish descent, so a lot of the lingo and the characters are going to be Jewish. A lot of the words are Jewish.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool. So her mother, Dee Dee, is a pretty fun character. Yeah. So I really like a lot of like the Jewish slang, the words she actually has in the end of each of her audiobooks, she actually has like a glossary of like the Jewish terms, and and what they kind of mean, and a lot of them are like a lot of them are endearing terms.
Well, again, when we get the omnibus from the Kickstarter, we'll show everybody. We'll show some pictures of it, and then, like I said, she can help explain through some of it. But I think it's a really cool, intricately woven thing, and to kind of get into the different characters.
Rachel Rener is of Jewish descent too.
Yes.
So,
to get into some of the characters, I know you already mentioned Dee. Dee was my favorite character through the book. You know, Rachel Rener too. She is Jewish by birth, so she poured a lot of her culture into this story. I would say it's very artistically and well done. It doesn't ever feel like out of the ordinary. It definitely just feels like a part of the world.
It's just part of her personality. End of each of the audiobooks, she has a glossary of like what some of the Jewish terms mean. Like
the glossary.
We'll have to do a whole video on the different words and stuff.
Rachel can help us out with that.
Yeah.
But so Dee was probably my favorite character in the book. A very strong, powerful female. And most of the books that we're going to be doing, with this being more casual and just talking about it, there's going to be spoilers in the book reviews that we do. But so Talia's mom, and unbeknownst to Talia, is a banshee, or at least half a banshee, which is shrill and loud due to her Brooklyn ancestry.
That's why she's shrill and loud, because she's part banshee.
Right.
Her mother was full banshee, so it'd make her half.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's half banshee, so of course she's going to be shrill and loud.
Right. It all plays really, really well into the character. And as Heather says, the story kind of picks up with Zane going missing. That's Talia's boss, and Talia follows after him after going to his apartment and finding my third favorite character, Hibiscus.
Probably my first favorite character.
You like Hibiscus?
Biscuit.
Yeah.
Which you're only gonna get that if you listen to the audio version, because if you read the book, you're gonna create your own voice. But the way the narrator, who it's Tara Novi, I think, is the one who narrates. She does a fantastic job. But the way she narrates this bird, Hibiscus, who Talia endearingly nicknames Biscuit, he loves almonds, and he just throughout the book it's just almond during like weird and like maybe semi-inappropriate times. She's just like, almond. So it's kind of a joke between us now. We just kind of like look at each other and go, almond.
So again, probably one of the most beloved familiars, probably animal characters I've ever read.
Yes.
I've read a lot of books that have familiars and side animal characters. I think Rachel did an excellent job capturing personality. I think the through thread of all four of her books in this, and I'm excited to read some of her other stories that she has out there. Her strength is by and far her character building. She does an excellent job giving each of her characters their own voice. That's probably my favorite thing about her writing is just how unique and independent her characters feel.
Yeah, which is pretty cool for this character Biscuit, the bird, because the theme of this book is like a lot of their magic comes from these tattoos that they wear, and Hibiscus, aka Biscuit, is actually tattooed on Zane's arm.
So let's talk Zane for a second. Okay. Everybody's favorite male. So Zane is a half elf, half succubus, fae prince. We don't learn that till the end of the first book, but like I said, diving right on in.
Is it the first book you find out?
Yeah.
It's the second book you find out he's a prince.
Yeah, well, I guess you find out he's half and half at the end of the first book, and then at the end of the second book you find out. In each of her books, there's they're all inked.
I think it's inked,
jinxed,
linked, and synced.
I believe so.
Is the order.
Yeah, again, of the Gilded Blood series. And in each book, it progresses actually really fast. I think all this takes place in, 2 weeks?
Maybe, if that. I will say, that was my only problem that I had with the book. I couldn't really buy into, how deeply Talia felt for Zane and all of the things that were happening. And how quickly Talia, the main character, just takes to all of this change. Like, she gets sucked to a drawer, which is the realm portal, and is immediately thrown into all of this, and she just kind of takes it. And I think the first book is only the span of 2, maybe 3 days.
It's very quick.
It's very quick. So I'll say that's my only criticism.
So as I was saying, it really kind of kicks off with Solomon, who is kind of the crime lord. He's depicted as a gangster. He too, like Zane, is a succubus. So he kind of feeds off of the carnal nature of mankind, if you would.
Is it succubus or incubus?
So there's succubuses and incubuses, and honestly,
I think incubus is the sex vampire.
He's one of them.
He's a
right?
sex vampire.
Yeah.
Whichever one that one is.
Again, I gotta get them straight on both sides.
Yeah.
But so where the story takes a turn for the worse is Solomon, and we're gonna gloss over a lot of things to just kind of get through the series. But Solomon puts what is called a requisition rune on Talia.
Basically, these runes, these magic tattoos that they use, they have to have certain ingredients and they have to have certain magics for it all to work. So with Talia, her blood is basically, it's gold, okay, right? It's the basically end all be all, most powerful thing, fixes everything. With certain people who have silver blood or other types of blood, they can do magic things, but only if they have other ingredients to help them make the magic. Talia's blood can do it. Like, she can use a Sharpie, tattoo the rune, and then use her blood to make it, to activate it, basically. She doesn't need any other special ingredients, just her blood basically can pretty much do anything. So Saul wants to keep it for himself, so the requisition rune basically marks her as his. Yeah. And basically, meaning if anyone else touches her, aka, Zane, for instance.
Lover boy.
Yeah, the mysterious stranger of this series. The poison will start to spread from the tattoo and slowly kill her if anyone else touches her. So that becomes a big problem in book 4.
Yeah, and so to kind of get on through, in my opinion, some of the high points of the story for me is you had, and my favorite scene of the entire book, I think, it's a chapter called Running Up That Hill. I absolutely love it. Zane is furious because he thinks Talia is dead.
Yeah.
Solomon and his army are assaulting the Summer Court, which is where Zane has declared himself the king for the time. He's leading the Elven army along with a kind of bunch of other Fae characters against Solomon's army. And he is kind of gone manic in depression because he's so mad. Seeing red, as it were, and he is just fighting his way up this hill to confront Saul.
Yeah. Well, at this point, he thinks Talia's dead.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yes.
You said that? Yeah, he said that. So, because he thinks Talia's dead, he's like, I got nothing left to lose, so I'm going to take everyone out before I go out myself.
Yeah, and so he and Biscuit are just wreaking havoc, attacking vampires, fighting up this hill. And you had this, really cool moment where Talia, Zane, Hibiscus, and then this turned familiar from, it was Saul's familiar, but it was turned to the light, as it were, Malphros, kind of all just take down Saul in this epic fight scene that, again, I love battle, I like fight scenes, I like justification.
Yeah. Malphros becomes Hibiscus's
lady friend.
Love interest. Biscuit.
Yeah, they have little eggs.
Biscuit, one egg that we know of.
But I think it was just really well done. I think it built up to a nice crescendo, and I think overall the book, I think I gave it a 4.75. There was
the whole series.
The whole series together. I don't think it was as spicy as some people would. There was definitely a chapter or two where it gets a little bit heated. But if you are new to romantasy or faith romance, I think this is a good jumping off point because it's not way over the top, but if you are squirmish around people doing it, I would say this is probably going to get you a little red behind the ears. She's definitely not shy about it. I think there's some funny scenes in there of intimacy.
I feel like the last book, it was like scene after scene after scene. He didn't think so, but
they couldn't touch.
I did. Right, but they didn't have to touch each other.
But I'm just saying, and now I will say there's a chapter called 50 Shades of Gold, and
it was like the after they hadn't been able to be intimate for a very long time because of this dangerous tattoo that she had put on her. Saul can't do the tattoos himself because he's an incubus, not all the other different things that are in there. I really need, Rachel, I need you to make like a tree of
It's in the book.
No, she has like the tree of like who is related and stuff and who is half elf, half banshee and stuff, but I need like a gloss. Oh, she has
It's
a
in the
gloss tree?
omnibus.
Just kidding, Rachel. I'm sorry.
There's also like a giant tree of like the different realms and all the places too. It's pretty dark. It's cool.
Okay, well, we'll be excited to review that when we get it, and then I'll be able to tell you who's an incubus, who's a succubus, and who can do this, that, and the other, and keep all of that straight because it does get kind of confusing there. Who can do what? All you know is that basically Talia can do all of it. So yeah, but. As far as the series as a whole, I think, again, like I said before, I think it works the best when you listen to all of it in sequence because the world building and the relationships and everything that they go through makes more sense and is, I don't know, it just works better for me when I listen to all of it together versus just listening to the first one and then the second one and the third and fourth. Because after I listened to the first one, I was like, okay, that was good, but like everything kind of happened really fast.
Yeah, none of the books, and I write the same way. None of the books are standalone, right? Like you have to read the whole thing. The conclusion is concluded through all of it. Now each book has a nice arc. And it feels like you're reading a complete story each time, so you don't feel like upset at the end of the book. You're like, that's a good conclusion, but it's clearly each book you have to have read the one before. It definitely leads into the next book.
Yeah, so like each book is great on its own, but I feel like they work so much better all together, which is why I think people who haven't delved into this series yet, when the omnibus comes out, I think that'd be a great thing to invest in because I think it works best as like one book together. Because it is all about one complete story. You don't defeat a villain and move on to another thing in the next book. It's all the same story through all 4 books.
Yeah. So between, and as we wrap up here, between like Saul taking over Talia's mind and that penultimate scene wherever Zane, Talia, Hibiscus, and Malvros fry Saul to the ever-loving nowhere, there's a really touching scene where Talia is kind of on the other side. She goes to the Phoenix tree. And she gets this wonderful moment where she can do some reconciliation. And I'm not going to say too much about this. I know this has been very spoiler-filled, but I think that was one of the best moments. It's second only to me to running up that hill. I think, what a great scene. I think you get a lot of resolution. You get a lot of tie-ins. A lot of things that were kind of like, what does this mean, kind of answered in that scene. And I really appreciated Rachel's work there. In my concluding thoughts for the book, I just have one question to pose to those who will read it. What is up with Dee Dee and Lambsworth?
Right?
I don't know. I don't get it.
They never concreted, like, are you guys in a relationship, or is he just kind of hanging out in the mortal realm?
So you tell us, get the book series. It's fantastic. Read it, listen to it, however you can do it, and tell me. I want to know what is up with Dee Dee and Lambsworth. I want to hear your thoughts, your theories, because I asked Rachel, and I won't tell you what she told me, but it did not help.
What? I'll have to ask her myself.
Yeah, you'll have to ask.
Yeah, so that was the Gilded Blood series by Rachel Rener. I think, all in all, I give it a 4.7 out of 5 stars. I mean, it's really great. It works best.
Fun, fast.
Yeah, it's a very quick series to get through, and it's very easy. It's a good, easy read that just kind of makes you, it doesn't exhaust your brain to read it. But it tickles that itch. It gets you. And like I said, it's the book that got me back into reading because as a mom, it's hard to sit down and read. And so, Gilded Blood series is what got me back into reading. It's a good Kickstarter to get you going again if you're in a reading rut. So,
well, catch us next time. Thank you so much if you made it through as we tried to work through our first book review.
Yep, 4 kids and a book review. Obviously, we don't have a studio or anything. This is just our living room. So, again, we're that book talk couple, and we hope to see you again next time with our next review.
Bye.